put my hands up to her nose to see if she was breathing, and I didn't feel no air coming out. Like she got her eye open.
Wait a minute. Is she not breathing?
No.
Your child is not breathing?
No.
Okay, let's do CPR then.
That is grossly emaciated. So very, very emaciated. Do you know what that means?
No.
So extremely skinny, deathly skinny, no fat, starved to death.
An overnight protest seeks justice for 4-year-old Aniya Day. Prosecutors say she died after severe abuse by her mother and boyfriend, who are now charged with aggravated murder.
The state's finding more adults failed this little girl. Inspectors say a second daycare failed to report abuse against 4-year-old Aniya Day-Garrett before she died.
CPS failed me. They failed us all.
On March 11th of 2018, Deonte Lewis called 911 to report that his girlfriend's daughter, 4-year-old Aniya Day-Garrett, was having a hard time breathing. When paramedics arrived, they found an extremely emaciated 4-year-old child with a large black eye, bruises all over her body, and what appeared to be burn marks on both of her legs. And she had already been dead for hours before paramedics even arrived. Aniya suffered years of horrendous physical abuse that went completely ignored until the one day her little body just couldn't take it anymore at the very young age of 4 years old. This is the case of Aniya Garrett. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here, and thank you again for joining me for another video. Today we are going to be talking about the case of Aniya Day-Garrett. Before I begin, I want to give a trigger warning that I will be going into the details of the horrific abuse of a 4-year-old child that led to her death. As hard as these details are to listen to, they are so very important to hear. We all need to be fully aware that children like Aniya are suffering every single day and are being completely ignored. And like I have said before, if Aniya had to live through this horrific abuse every single day, the least we can do is listen to it. With all of that being said, let's get into the details of today's case and start talking about Aniya Garrett. Aniya Day-Garrett was born on September 2nd of 2013. Following her birth, she lived with her mother, Sierra Day, and her father, Michael Garrett, until they ended their relationship when Aniya was just 2 years old. After the couple separated, they went on to have a custody agreement where Michael would have Aniya every other weekend. After their separation, Sierra and Aniya moved to an apartment building in Euclid, Ohio, and Aniya started attending a daycare called Harbor Crest Childcare. Quickly after she started attending this daycare, the employees started to notice that Aniya would come in with bruises or scratches on different parts of her body, and it was actually happening so often that the employees started to document it. And there were actually 14 separate incidents that were documented by these daycare employees. September 17th, 2015. Bruise to the right side of face, looks like a handprint. October 22nd, 2015. Bruise to the right side of face, looked like a handprint. Child cried most of the day. September 12th, 2016. Bruises to face, eye, and arm. Mother stated that Aniya had fallen out of bed, and she removed some bandages where Aniya had gotten shots. September 21st, 2016. Bruises on her face, under her eye, and on her eyelid. Aniya stated that mom did it. October 25th, 2016. Bump on head. Aniya was crying. December 1st, 2016. Aniya had bruise under her right eye and was crying. Aniya stated that mom hit her. Mom stated that it happened at Applebee's. The next day, on December 2nd, 2016, bruise on left, doesn't say where. Aniya stated that mom has been hitting her. 4 days later, on December 6th, 2016, Rug burn type scar on left elbow. Aniya stated that mom hit her. December 27, 2016. Bruise on forehead. Aniya stated that mom and dad did it. Mommy hit me. January 18, 2017. Aniya came to school with several bruises on her face, arm, and back. Aniya had a raised bruise on her left upper forearm. When asked about it, Aniya stated that mommy had scratched her. February 10, 2017. Aniya has a dark-colored bruise under her left eye. Aniya stated that mom did this. Staff had noticed bruises on her every day when she comes in. It's important to note that up until this point, it is unclear if Child Services was ever contacted. In February of 2017, this was the first time that DCFS had responded to an emergency referral regarding Aniya. A social worker actually went down to her daycare and met with Aniya, and during this meeting, they noticed that she had a bruise under her left eye. The social worker later spoke with Sierra, who told her that the bruise was from Aniya running into a table at her grandfather's house. But when she was asked about the other numerous injuries that the daycare had been noticing, she stated that those also occurred while Aniya was either at her family members' houses or while she was at daycare. This report was later closed out and found to be unsubstantiated. On March 14, 2017, right side of lip, busted lip. On May 15th of 2017, Aniya came to daycare with a scrape across her face. Sierra again told the daycare that Aniya just fell at the park, but Aniya actually interrupted Sierra to say, "Mommy pushed me." Obviously shocked by that, the employees asked Sierra to confirm exactly what happened, and Sierra responded saying, "Oh, I just pushed her down the slide." But then immediately after, Aniya interrupts again saying, "Mommy pushed me down the steps." 3 days later, on May 18th of 2017, Aniya was complaining that her head was hurting. When the daycare employee examined her head, she discovered blood blisters on her head and dried blood in her ear. When they asked Aniya what happened, she responded saying, "Mommy hit me, mommy hurt me." The daycare immediately called the police and reported suspected child abuse, and Aniya was taken to the hospital where she was examined. The daycare owner actually went down to the hospital and showed the police officer that there were 14 separate incident reports where Aniya had some type of injury. Now, this next part is absolutely insane, and I want you guys to remember that a 4-year-old child is at the hospital for suspected physical abuse because her scalp had blood blisters on it and there was blood inside of her ear. The emergency room physician that was examining Aniya actually suggested to the daycare worker that Aniya's head was hurting because her braids were too tight. That physician told the daycare worker and the police officer that her head was hurting and bleeding because her braids were too tight. What's even more heartbreaking about this is Aniya kept interrupting the physician and telling both the physician, the police officer, and the daycare worker, everyone that was in the room with her, that that's not why her head was hurting. She was telling them her head hurt because mommy hurt me. The daycare worker testified that Aniya repeated this in the room several times while the physician was talking to them. It was almost like she was interrupting him, saying, "No, that's not right. Mommy actually hit me in the head, and that's why my head hurts." The daycare worker testified that several times Aniya said in that room, "Mommy hurt me." But they took the physician's word that her braids were too tight. When Sierra was actually questioned about this incident, she actually blamed it on the daycare. She stated that she had no idea why Aniya's head and ears were bleeding, and it must have been something that happened at the daycare. But she also somehow didn't seem quite concerned that the daycare caused her 4-year-old daughter's head and ears to bleed. Telling a police officer that the daycare caused it and not doing anything about it, just like, oh, must have happened at the daycare. Following this incident, Aniya attended this specific daycare just one more time before she was pulled out without any comments. Sierra just pulled her out of the daycare and they never saw them again. After this, Sierra started taking Aniya to a different daycare, but this daycare Sierra actually worked for. Sierra began working at another daycare called Ready, Set, Grow as a teacher. While working there, Aniya attended the daycare during the day. The odd thing about this new daycare was that they never contacted police, DCFS, or even kept a log of any injuries they saw on Aniya. Now, you could say that maybe Aniya didn't have any injuries, or maybe they didn't notice them, but you'll see that from this point moving forward, after Aniya left Harbor Crest, the abuse got significantly worse. You could also say that maybe they did notice, but they never said anything since Sierra was actually working there. But let's just hope that's not the case, and people wouldn't actually stand by as a baby is getting abused and do absolutely nothing about it. Around the time that Sierra left Harbor Crest is around the time that she met Deonte Lewis, and somehow met the one person that would abuse her child just as much as she did. In September of 2017, during one of Michael's visits with Aniya, he noticed that she had bruises on her chest and lower back. When asking Aniya what happened, she told him, "Mommy pushed me up the stairs." When Michael asked Sierra about the bruises and what happened, she actually blamed them on her brother, stating that he hit her on the behind after she did something bad. Immediately after this visit, Michael petitioned the courts for custody, saying that he was concerned for Aniya's safety. And during this time, Sierra refused to let Michael see Aniya. Michael did eventually attempt to go down to Sierra's work and ask to see Aniya, but then Sierra obtained a temporary protection order against him, claiming he was violent. In December of 2017, DCFS received an anonymous complaint regarding child abuse and neglect of Aniya. A social worker actually went down to the apartment, but Sierra told her that all of these allegations were fake and she was being harassed, and that Aniya was not even home. The social worker actually scheduled an appointment to meet with Aniya, but when the appointment day came, Sierra told the social worker that Aniya was not home again. The following day, she did come back and she was finally able to speak with Aniya. During this encounter, she found a small scrape on the back of Aniya's neck and a faint bruise along her arm. She checked the apartment to make sure it was clean and had food and water, and then she just left. A month later, in January of 2018, this social worker met with her supervisor and determined that the case was unsubstantiated, and they closed the case. On December 14th of 2017, Michael Garrett petitioned the Domestic Relations Court for removal of the order of protection against him, explaining that he is just concerned about the safety of his daughter, stating, quote, "I truly feel as though our daughter is being abused at home physically, mentally, and that her life could possibly be in danger. I have recently received information and details from Miss Day's sisters and relatives that our daughter has been getting abused physically at home and that my daughter has been to the hospital and 696 kids have been called previously in the past in which I had no idea. Please help me." In February of 2018, Sierra was hanging out with her family when during the conversation it came up that Aniya had recently stopped walking. Later on that evening, Sierra's brother saw Deonte walk in with a nervous look, stating, quote, "It looked like he did something." So being slightly worried about Aniya, he went back to their apartment to check on her. When Sierra's brother walked into Aniya's room, she was lying down on her bed and she greeted him. When he asked her if she was okay, she just responded with "yeah." Thinking maybe she just sprained her ankle or something, the brother went back to talk with Sierra. When he asked Sierra how Aniya was doing, she responded saying she was just fine, but lately she has not been eating a lot. Sierra's sister testified that she started to notice Aniya getting skinnier as early as July of 2017. She also testified that she frequently witnessed Sierra take Aniya into a different room whenever needing to punish her. One time noticing that Aniya left the room with a bloody nose, but when she asked her sister why her nose was bloody, she just said that she fell and hit her face. The sister testified that she would see bruises and scratches on Aniya, but when she asked Sierra about them, she always blamed it on the daycare or someone else in the family. In early March of 2018, the social worker met with Michael, who had actually not seen Aniya in several months and was extremely concerned for her safety. After meeting with Michael, the social worker scheduled an appointment to meet with Sierra on that Friday, which was March 9th of 2018, but Sierra told them she wasn't available until the following Monday, March 12th. Well, that meeting never came because on March 11th of 2018, Aniya would pass away in Sierra's home.
What do you need an ambulance for, sir?
Yes, hi. My daughter's having a hard time breathing. She's breathing, but she's barely breathing.
Is she able to talk in complete sentences?
No, she can't. She's not talking in no complete sentences at all.
How old is she?
4. She had fell out, and we were just trying to see what's going on with her.
Is she conscious now?
Is she conscious? Yes. But she's not really breathing. She's not speaking. She's not speaking. She's not responding to us.
Is she awake?
Her eyes are open. Her eyes are open, yes.
But she's not really alert?
She's not saying anything or responding to our...
When I press down on her chest, she'll make a sound.
Okay. Well, don't press down on her chest, okay?
No, with 2 hands.
Does your daughter have a history?
Does she have a history of what?
Yeah, does she have a history of any breathing issues?
No.
What was she doing before this happened?
Well, she's been acting a little sick. We went to Red Lobster last week. I thought it was because of that, because she started acting weird. I thought it was like a stomach virus or something of what she ate or whatever. And I noticed as she's been at home, we started like feeding her, and she was just throwing everything up. So gave her ginger ale. She threw the ginger ale up. I gave her Tylenol. She spit that up.
Okay. When's the last time she ate or drank anything?
We tried to give her some breakfast in the morning, and she ate like a little bit of it, but it's like she kept chewing it. She was prolonged to chewing it for a long time.
All right, she's been having these flu-like symptoms for how long?
It started last Thursday when we came for her lobster. We noticed she started acting weird.
Since last Thursday?
Yes.
As in like a few days ago?
Yes.
Has she been running a fever?
She was a little hot, but then her body would like just be weird to turn cold.
What is your name?
Aniya, A-N-I-Y-A.
What's your last name?
Day, D-A-Y.
Did you guys try contacting the child's pediatrician?
Did we try?
Yeah, did you call her pediatrician when this started?
No, I actually just spoke to a 24-hour nurse.
Okay. What is she doing now?
Well, now I just got her sitting up. I tried to even do mouth to mouth.
Well, if she's breathing, you probably don't need to do CPR. Do you know what I'm saying?
Because I put my fingers, I'm just trying to figure out what else can I do. Like I put my hands up to her nose to see if she was breathing, and I didn't feel no air coming out. Like she got her eye open.
Wait a minute, is she not breathing?
No.
Your child is not breathing?
No.
Okay, let's do CPR then.
That's what I'm trying to do. I didn't do my whole force 2 hands. I just two fingers basically is what I'm doing.
Okay, I want you to get her on a flat surface. Okay.
Okay, say it again.
No. They just told me, yes, we're going to start CPR right now.
Okay, put the phone on speaker. Let's
put this phone on speaker, okay? If you guys have an AED available, I want you to send someone to go get it right now, okay?
What available?
An AED machine?
No, we don't have that.
All right, place your daughter flat on her back on the floor, okay?
Okay.
Kneel down near her chest.
You want her on her stomach, on her back.
She is definitely not breathing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Place the heel of your hand on the center of her chest. Put your other hand on top of the first hand. I want you to push down firmly on the chest at least 2 inches, only to the heel of your hands. Okay? We're going to do it 30 times, just like you're pumping her chest, okay? You're going to count out loud with me. Are you ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. We're going to keep going, okay? Hard and fast, okay? If she starts breathing, then we're going to stop. We're going to keep doing this. Keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Keep going, okay? The squad just called that they're on scene. I need one of you guys to get up and go open the door. Okay?
Okay, down there now?
Is she still not breathing?
Yeah, she make a sound whenever we do that. Whenever we, you do the little pumping thing, she made a sound like a But then
is she breathing? Check her nose. Somebody should still be pumping.
You feel cold air. She said she feel cold air coming out the nose.
There's cold air coming out of the nose?
Yes.
Okay, if she's got air coming out, is her chest rising up and down?
No.
Her chest is not. All right, keep pumping. Okay, if her chest isn't going up and down, I want you to keep going until the squad gets there to take over. Okay? I'm going to count with you again. Let me know when the squad opens the door. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
Well, she's having a hard time breathing right now, guys.
What?
The paramedics are here now.
All right, let them take over, okay?
All right.
All right, thank you.
Deonte Lewis called 911 around 4 p.m. on March 11th of 2018. When he began the call, he stated that Aniya was having trouble breathing, but she was awake and she was still breathing. Sierra took the phone shortly into the conversation, stating that she was attempting to give Aniya CPR, which really confused the operator because if Aniya was still breathing and awake, they would not need to do CPR on her. It took 3 minutes for them to tell the 911 operator that Aniya was in fact not breathing and she was not alert at all. The first person to respond was a firefighter. He stated that when he walked into the home, he saw Aniya lying unconscious on the floor underneath a running air conditioner. He stated that he noticed this was very odd because it was really cold outside that day, and Aniya was wearing a winter coat, winter hat, pants, and socks. 2 other firefighters at the scene stated that when they walked in the house, they immediately noticed a very strong smell of bleach. As the firefighters were tending to Aniya, they noticed that her jaw and her body were stiff and she was cold to the touch. They noticed the smell of decomposition coming from her mouth as they were performing CPR. They also immediately noticed that she had a very large and prominent black eye and several bruises on her face. When they got her into the ambulance and removed her clothing, this is when they noticed that she had several lacerations and bruises all over her arms and legs. And her legs also had what they described looked like burn marks. They also stated that she appeared extremely malnourished and emaciated to the point where she was just skin and bones. When transporting her to the hospital, the paramedics were unable to find any signs of life. They never found a pulse, and she never took a breath. It was later determined that Aniya had been dead for hours before Deonte ever called 911. Sierra told the police on scene that Aniya became extremely sick and stopped eating and drinking after they went to Red Lobster that Thursday, which was just 3 days prior. She also told police that on that morning, Aniya actually fell off the toilet and hit her head very hard and was unconscious for a short amount of time, and that explains where the black eye came from, at least to her. After Aniya was taken to the hospital, detectives obtained a search warrant to search Sierra's apartment. In Aniya's room, they took photos of her bed, which had no blankets, no sheets, no pillows, and nothing on it except for one singular small fleece blanket. They also noticed that the bed had a very strong smell of urine. Detectives also stated that throughout the entire house, they kept smelling a very strong smell of bleach, as if they had just bleached everything in the house. There was absolutely no fresh food in the apartment. All they could find was 2 half-eaten bowls of Chipotle in the microwave. They also found paperwork from the juvenile court that had been ripped up and thrown into the trash can, and they believe this was paperwork that was given to her by Michael. And at this time, Aniya's father was actively seeking custody of her, so it is believed that's what these papers were. Deonte and Sierra were both taken into custody the day that Aniya died. And at the time they were being interviewed, they were under the impression that Aniya was still alive and she had been taken to the hospital and was being cared for. Or at least they had to pretend that's what they believed. At the time of their interview, the detectives did know that Aniya had already passed away and she had been dead for a few hours. They also knew that Aniya was so extremely emaciated that you could see every single bone in her body. She was also covered in bruises and lacerations. She had a very large black eye, and her legs had what appeared to be burn marks on them. I'm going to be playing a large amount, roughly 1 hour, of Sierra's interrogation footage. I will link below where you can find the full video of both Sierra and Deonte's interrogation. But I think it's important that we see Sierra's interrogation and we see how she lies throughout this entire interview, and how it seems like, honestly, she just feels nothing when talking about how her daughter was being abused and how her daughter died. And if you do want to go ahead and skip this part, I will be leaving timestamps below.
So we have a lot of questions we want to ask you, but first I want to give you the opportunity to talk about why you're here and what led to you being brought in today.
When you start? Oh, because I called the ambulance today, which my dude had called because we was very concerned because my daughter had started breathing.
Okay.
We went to Red Lobster, which was Thursday, and it was the first time going there. Aniya ate a lot. She ate, what do you call them? It was like some pasta spaghetti with what do you call that? Pasta spaghetti with pasta spaghetti. It's not crab legs, but it's shrimp. With shrimp, and she had some other stuff or whatever. But she was doing fine when we was there. She was having a good time. When we left, we went home as a family, sat down, watched movies and stuff. We noticed Aniya started acting weird after we gave her like snacks and stuff. She threw it back up. So I called the nurse hotline, which is a 24-hour line or whatever. And I said I was very concerned. We left Red Lobster. I want to know why is my daughter throwing up. She said it could be a stomach virus. So I said, okay. And to my knowledge, I know Aniya is not allergic to nothing. So what I did, I gave Aniya ginger and I gave her Tylenol. She threw that back up. So I just laid her down. Because I just assumed it was probably a stomach virus. The nurse was like, just let her lay down. She probably just want to rest. So then come Friday, Aniya was still pretending to do the same thing.
Let's pause right here. At this moment, Sierra says Aniya was still pretending to do the same thing. So she's trying to say that Aniya was pretending to be sick. And I want you all to remember this part because it will come up later on in this interrogation.
And also Thursday night, she peed on herself. Okay. And Aniya normally goes to the bathroom. That was awkward to me. She did that twice.
When did you call the nurse again?
I called Thursday.
What nurse are you calling?
Just Google them. I just called the 24 nurse hotline.
Okay. Okay, keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So then come Friday, I told my dude, I'm like, well, just go buy some pull-ups because I don't want to keep wasting her pennies and her clothes or whatever. So he went to go do that. And then Aniya, we fed her, I think it was like Kim's, like French fries or whatever. She threw that back up. And I'm like, babe, I don't know what's going on because Aniya had never threw up this much. She just kept throwing up. And I'm like, I don't want to keep throwing up because it can make her lose weight. We kept trying to feed her. And that didn't work. I'm like, I don't want to keep stuffing her because she could easily choke. I was concerned because she wasn't taking her down. So I did it again. I gave her some Tylenol and my dude gave her some ginger ale. That didn't hold, whatever. So come Saturday or whatever, Aniya threw up again. I'm like, babe, I'm very, very concerned or whatever. So he was like, just let her lay down or whatever. So we let her lay down. He went to the store, he got her some soup.
What day was that?
For Saturday. He had got her some soup.
Okay.
So I'm like, well, maybe she could take the soup down. I'm like, I don't want to keep giving her ginger ale, but he was like, we'll just give her ginger ale. I gave her ginger ale and I gave her some water, and she threw that back up.
Okay. And you're saying my dude, but you're talking about your boyfriend, right?
Boyfriend.
What's your boyfriend's name?
Deonte.
Okay. You can spell it.
Deontelewis.
Okay. All right. So then what happened?
So come Saturday or whatever, he was like, just let her rest, don't bother her. I'm like, I'm very concerned because Aniya has never acted like this pertaining to whatever she ate, whatever. I'm like, it could be allergic actually, but I was notified when she was born she wasn't allergic to nothing.
Okay.
But come Saturday, she was like, Mommy, I got a boo-boo. So I walked her to the bathroom and I sat on the toilet. I'm like, babe, we got to do something. Either we call the paramedics, or because I don't know what to take it from this point or whatever. So she sat on the toilet. My dude was making a chicken noodle soup, and I was giving her a little more ginger ale, and I put a little more Tylenol and ginger ale a little bit. We noticed a boom. Aniya fell to the floor, and it left a mark on her eye, and there was a cut on her eye. So I put peroxide on it, and my dude had put some ice on it or whatever. So we took care of that. She was doing a little okay. But he was like, call the paramedics. I'm like, well, baby, just see how far it leaves from here. So we let her go. We let Aniya go to sleep or whatever. It comes Sunday. Me and my dude was asleep or whatever, and he was like, hey, you smell that? I'm like, no. And it was boo-boo, as if she was just moving around in the bed or whatever. So I took her out the bed, and I just started wiping the bed down, washed her up. I had to take her hair down because it was boo-boo on the bed, as if she was moving like something was wrong. Washed her up or whatever. She was doing good. When I noticed when she was in the tub, she was just doing some awkward breathing.
When was this?
Sunday. She was doing some awkward breathing, whatever. So I took her out the tub. I'm like, baby, I think we're gonna have to call the paramedics. I don't know what to do. So I noticed she stopped breathing for a minute. I'm like, so I tried to do CPR. I put 2 hands on her, and I did that. And it's like she came back. It's like she was gasping, but she had came back. So I just started putting clothes on her. I'm like, because I was like, Deonte, my dude, I'm like, I don't know what to do at this point. I tried to do CPR, none of that worked. He was like, give her some more ginger ale. I'm like, no, she could probably choke, or whatever. So I'm like, just call the paramedics. So as he called the paramedics, I was talking to a young lady, whatever, and she was taking me through the steps that I already did. And she was like, keep doing 15, whatever you call that, over and over. And I kept doing it, and it didn't work. And then I just prolonged this procedure until the ambulance got there, because I didn't know what to do no more. And I already knew it was going to lead to detectives and stuff because of the eye situation.
Okay.
But
You're right that the eye situation is troubling. When are you saying that happened, that she fell off
that
the
happened
toilet?
Saturday evening.
Saturday evening?
Mm-hmm.
So the, you said that she fell.
We heard her. She was on the toilet because we went to go to the kitchen to go get some chicken noodle soup, and I went to go put some Tylenol on her ginger. We heard a big boom.
What time on Saturday did that happen?
I don't know what it was like. It was in the evening sometime.
Okay. Was it dark out?
No, it don't get dark till like 5. It was around like 4:30. And I took care of that from there. I put peroxide and stuff on it because it started swelling up and getting bigger.
Okay. Yeah, and I did see Aniya, and I saw the injury, and usually when it's lacerated like that, there'll be quite a bit of blood. The head bleeds a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys do to clean up the blood?
I put peroxide on it, and and she was a little warm too, so I laid a warm rag around her face.
Okay. What did you use to clean up the blood? Because if she hit
I used peroxide, and I used a little alcohol, and I just placed like a warm rag on it.
You
I
used alcohol on what?
On the little scar, alcohol and
oh, you put alcohol on her face?
A little bit.
Oh, that
I had a little.
Did she whine about the stinging?
No, not really.
No.
And I put a little peroxide on it, and a warm rag.
Some of the injuries on Aniya today, I want to ask you questions about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We already talked about the eye. You explained how you said that happened. She also has a bruise on her head right here and a bump. What is that from?
I mean, she fell straight to the floor.
She fell straight to the floor?
Straight to the floor.
When?
Saturday evening, like I told you, she fell straight to the floor, and that's when I started doing all the nursery stuff on her, peroxide, putting the warm stuff on her face. And it was a real loud boom because it caught me in my due detention.
Okay. Okay. Did you see her fall?
No. The kitchen is right next to the bathroom.
Okay.
She had the boo-boo, so I just let her sit on the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
And we just heard the boom from there. Because he was giving her soup and I was getting the ginger ale.
Okay. All right.
And when I heard that... And
that happened when again?
That happened Saturday evening.
Okay. So let's talk about some history with you and Aniya years before Deonte's even in the picture. Particularly an investigation that I'm familiar with is one from May of 2017. So that one is just before him. But then that opened up our eyes at the Euclid Police Department to a lot of other indications. What can you tell me about that report from May of 2017?
Wait, what you mean?
The one that involved Children and Family Services?
From May 17th?
Yeah, no, from May of 2017. Like what day in May? I'm not sure. I could get it out.
Like basically like recently?
Yeah, so this right now it's March 2018, so we're talking about 10 months ago there was an investigation involving Children and Family Services?
Yes, it was from Aniya's daycare.
Okay. Can you explain to me what that was about?
A scratch on her head.
How did it go when Children and Family Services followed up with you about that?
Well, first thing they do is go to your home, make sure you got food, make sure your daughter got clothes and shoes, and make sure your home is clean. They talked to me. They was like, you don't look like an abusive mother. I'm like, I'm not. Kids get scratches, scars anywhere. People blow it out of proportion.
Sure.
And they was concerned, but the scratch wasn't that to be all, oh my God. I mean, it's a daycare, so I guess they took it out of proportion or whatever. But when they called, she came up to my house. She was like, you have a lovely home. Aniya seems happy. You got food. She checked to see if she had a bed, shoes, and clothes. And she didn't find nothing, basically.
And where did you live then?
Harbor Crest.
Did they have you do any case plan or anything?
What you mean, case plan?
A case plan is like where they, have suggestions they want you to follow.
I'm still not sure what you mean, suggestion.
Did they suggest that you change the way you do anything with her? Okay. What is your relationship like with Aniya's father?
Horrible. He put his hands on me, so I filed a restraining order.
Is there a police report of this incident that you?
It should have been. I dropped one off at Euclid. I had one in my daycare.
No, not the order. I mean, of the. You're saying that he put his hands on you. Where did that happen?
Mike came up to my job to get ready to grow, and I felt like he was stalking me. I got documentations because I showed the courts. Him calling me out my name.
Okay.
Him threatening me.
Okay.
He came up to my job unknown. Co-workers had to contact my phone like you might want to watch out. Michael has damaged my apartment on 260th to the point I couldn't get my deposit back. He put his hands on me several times.
Did you make a police report in Euclid when he came to your job?
260th, the cops came out and...
No, I'm asking about, you're saying when did he put his hands on you?
He came to my job. He threatened to put his hands on me.
Oh, he did not put his hands on you?
He threatened.
He threatened. Okay, is that what you got the order based on?
Yeah, and he was stalking me, and when he came to my daycare, he woke all of my daycare kids up. And he put his feet in the middle of the door, and he put his hands on the door, and I asked him, can he leave? And he told me, no, I want my daughter, or whatever. I don't get to see my son, so I want to see my daughter. And I'm like, Mike, I don't keep an eye away from you. I'm at work. I will drop her off. And he was looking like, well, BIT said you want to see my daughter. I'm in daycare. I'm in the work area, so I didn't say nothing to Michael. And as I went to go get my phone, I said I was going to call the cops. He was like, I am a whole security guard. I'm not scared. I'm not afraid of the cops.
Okay. So did you call us that day? Did you end up calling us to make a report of that incident?
I think because I've been went down for the restraining order for Mike.
Okay, so when you went down for the restraining order, what did you base what you wanted the order off of?
I felt like I was being harassed. I told him I was afraid of my baby daddy because he
They didn't ask for a report about the time you went to your job?
A report?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they asked you for a police report documenting the time when he came to your job.
They told me I should have had a police report. I didn't want to do that.
So you did not make a police report at that time. Okay. So I'm not the first one asking if there was a police report about that. Okay. All right. Do you remember what month that was?
The one they sent the court papers out?
No, when he came to your job.
They sent the court papers out in November. It was before November.
Okay.
And I only did the restraining order because I was afraid what he might do. And I also placed the restraining order on Michael Garrett because every time I did it, that's his name.
Right, but okay.
I said I gave you his own name. Yeah. I also placed the restraining order on because every time I gave him Aniya, she wasn't with him. She was in somebody else's care. Michael used to work downtown, and when I did go downtown, I would text I would text Michael and I'd be like, "So how's Aniya doing?" "Oh, she good, we watching TV," and Aniya wasn't in his care. Okay. And every time I did give Aniya to Michael, he never brought her clothes back. He never brought her shoes. He always took her hair down. And he was like, "I'm her daddy. I can do what I want." I'm like, Michael, I feel like I ain't had no control of him because I didn't like the fact that I wasn't getting her clothes. I don't have nothing of hers back. Nothing. Oh, okay. He was very controlling in my relationship. That's why when I called the cops on 260th, they was like, "Ma'am, you need to place a restraining order on him because he's very controlling and he's very abusive." When they saw the damage to my apartment, they was like, "Yeah, he's very abusive. You need a restraining order." I didn't replace the restraining order because I was so in love with Michael.
When you said you lived on 260th, where did you live then when you called us?
What you mean when I called you?
You keep saying that the police came and saw that there was damage to your apartment?
On 260th.
Right, but when was that?
Moved in Harbor Crest, January 27th of. It was 2 years from now. It was 2 years from. I stayed in Harbor Crest for 2 years. It was. I'm trying to get my dates right because my lease was up. You see what I'm trying to do? I lived in Harbor Crest for 2 years, and I was on 260 for 2 years. I can't give you the exact date when I called the cops.
I printed out everything that we had with you involving the police. I don't have anything from an address on 260th. Are you sure that the Euclid police came?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they came. Because I was outside.
Pretty sure the police came?
I'm positive that because I was outside when they came because I was afraid of them.
You were afraid of who?
Michael.
Okay. So, do you understand why I'm asking you all these questions about... Do you understand why I'm asking you all these questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think I'm asking you all these questions?
Just to get information. I mean, some of the questions, it was...
Right. I definitely am trying to understand... What I'm trying to understand is what's been going on with Aniya. Mm-hmm. Okay? Well, why do you think I'm concerned about what's going on with Aniya?
Because of the bruise on Aniya.
The bruise on her eye, what else?
And the thing right here on her. And why 696 kids, I guess.
Well, she's got other marks on her too. You know what I'm talking about?
The scar on her leg.
Right, she got a couple of marks on her leg. What are those from?
And I felt like she broke out from Johnson & Johnson because I never used it on her. She had run out her baby wash. I just thought that was her skin reaction or something.
Okay. What kind of Johnson's wash is that?
I don't know. It was in a pink bottle. From Walmart.
Okay, so Johnson & Johnson body wash.
Mm-hmm. And I don't use that on her.
And what?
I don't use it on her. That was the first time because I ran out of her body wash.
How many times did you use it on her?
I used it about 2 or 3 times.
Just 2 or 3 times? And is it the all over body face hair wash?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's 3 in 1.
Okay. And Why do you think that the marks are only on her legs, not on her entire body, since you used the wash on her whole body?
Because her legs is only in the tub.
Because her what?
Half of her body was only in the tub, because I noticed it came on her leg. My dude asked the same question, why did it get to her body? To her upper part.
Yeah.
But she's not, bathtub is not going to be full because I don't want her to drown.
What? But you're using it on her skin. You're bathing her whole body, right?
No, she was soaking in the tub.
Soaking in the tub? Okay. Were you washing her with this
No,
wash?
Mm-mm.
When did you first notice the marks on her leg?
When I started using the Johnson.
When was that?
Last week. That's when I ran out. And I thought she just had a allergic reaction to her body or whatever. I also heard about Johnson before, and I heard it break kids. I also saw it on Facebook, but I didn't think it was really that serious.
What happened on Thursday night?
We went home from Red Lobster.
Okay. And then how was Aniya on Thursday night?
She was doing good until we started giving her snacks, and then she threw up. That's when I called the nurse.
Okay. And what number did you call for the nurse?
I just Googled any nurse hotline that I can.
Okay. And did they identify what medical agency they're with when they answered the phone?
No.
Did the nurse, was it a female nurse or a male nurse that answered the phone?
It was a female nurse.
Is it the nurse that is representative of the medical facility where she gets her treatment?
I just Googled nurse. I don't even remember. I just Googled nurse. That's all I did.
I just know I have 4 kids, so I've had to call the nurse hotline. Generally, the nurse hotline won't give you advice on treating your child unless your child is the patient of that facility that nurse
I called the nurse. I called the nurse before for me a couple of times when I was concerned about myself. They gave me options or whatever.
Okay. And
because even
is there a number associated with a medical facility that you already seek treatment with, or?
I really don't know because I just went to Google. That's all I did. I just went to Google, and then led you to a number.
And what did they tell you to do with Aniya?
They just basically said it could be a stomach virus. That's why I did the procedures to go along with ginger ale.
Okay. Did you use your phone to call the nurse on call? Okay. So you wouldn't mind if we looked in the phone just to confirm that you called the nurse on call?
You can, but I don't keep nothing in my phone. I delete everything. I always been like that. I don't keep nothing in my phone.
Okay. Okay. I asked you a little bit ago if you understand why I'm asking you all these questions. Okay. Why do you think I'm asking you all these questions?
Like I said you're concerned about that and the 696 kids. That's all I.
Okay. I was just thinking that maybe my saying that would prompt you to ask me a different question. You haven't asked about Aniya since we've been in here. Is there a reason
I would,
why?
but I did. You cut me off because I was about to ask you how was she doing.
Okay.
You kept talking.
Okay. I just thought that you would ask me well, why are you asking
me? And
that?
I was trying to ask you down the hallway too.
She doesn't need to ask about Aniya because she knows that Aniya was already dead, and that she had been dead for hours before they called police. But she still has to do her best at pretending that she thinks Aniya is just injured and in the hospital. This is the part of the interview where the detectives push a little harder on what happened, showing Sierra pictures of the extreme injuries to Aniya's little body, and making sure that she understands that none of her story makes any sense.
Okay. So here's the other concern I have, and this is based on my investigative experience in having consulted with medical professionals. Okay. She's very light right now. I'm looking at her and estimating she weighs 20 pounds. Do you think that's about right?
Aniya was throwing up a lot too, and throwing up a lot too can cause you to lose weight. Aniya wasn't a fat child at all.
Okay.
At all. She was like a decent size. She ate a lot, but she was a decent size. Some people was lactose tolerant, whatever. They eat a lot and they don't gain weight. Dealt with kids like that before, ate a lot and was bonier, like skinnier than her.
All right. So getting back to what I was talking about, I would estimate her to be about 20 pounds right now. She's not more than 30 pounds. I can tell that by looking at her. I didn't pick her up or actually weigh her, but this is just, I have 4 kids, so I'm just going on my experience, okay? A child like that who's feeling woozy and not so well, you said, falls off the toilet. There's very little force for the head to make impact, even with the floor. She's not that tall, so she's not that far away from the floor. So the injury to the eye is completely inconsistent with this.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but we heard a boom, and that boom, because that's on her being late.
In order for her to get that injury to her eye, I mean, she would have been dropped from the 2nd floor. Which, I mean, but you're saying she fell off the...
I mean, I understand what you're saying, because I deal with kids a lot, and a lot of stuff that happened, and they be like, wow, how did that happen too?
Okay. This is different, though, because we have experts who can determine that the injury to the eye did not happen the way that you're saying it did. Okay.
It did, because I had her on.
It didn't happen that way.
Toilet. I mean, she was on the Aniya was on the toilet, and when we heard the boom, she was on the floor, and then we saw the cut, and her eye looked like it was swollen up.
Okay. How long has she appeared like this? Do you see how she appears in this photo here?
What you mean, like the way she's sitting?
Well, what do you see, like right here?
She's turned over.
Well, I'm pointing at her knee. What do you see about her? What do you notice about her knees? Her shoulders. What do you think I'm pointing out?
I don't see no surgery.
Well, her bones are protruding.
What you mean?
Okay, so not to be weird or anything, but if the rest of us were in here in only underwear like she is, our bones wouldn't stick out like this. Okay, we have fat and other tissue on top of our bones. Okay, this child is extremely thin. Okay.
I mean, Aniya was never fat.
Sure.
At all.
Right.
She was throwing up a lot, and I thought that consisted of that too.
Okay. When did she start appearing this thin?
Aniya's. Well, I already didn't know no change in my daughter's body for real, but she was normal to me. She was eating well.
Okay. What you're telling me, this is what we're looking at. Okay. Remember, I have 4 children, okay?
I understand.
I have a daughter your age.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so I know what healthy children should look like at all ages. You're saying she was at her well check, she got a weight check. You don't want to tell me how much she weighed then?
I don't remember how much she weighed.
Okay, how much do you think she weighs right here today in this picture?
About 30-something.
You think she weighs about 30 something?
No, about 40 something. She looked normal to me.
30 or 40 something?
Yeah.
I don't think she weighs that much. I think she looks like she weighs about 20 pounds, which is way, way under normal weight for a 4-year-old. Okay, especially someone her height. Do you think that this looks okay? These bones sticking out?
I really didn't notice that for real.
When did she start looking like this?
Like I said, Aniya always been like a normal size. She eats a lot.
Okay, this isn't a normal size. This is a very, very thin child, dangerously thin. If you had taken her to see a doctor and they saw her like this, they wouldn't release her. When did she start appearing this way as opposed to a healthy, normal weight?
What you mean, like the way she's laying?
How thin she is? How skeletally thin she is?
Aniya was, like I said, she was a normal size. It did catch my attention. Because if it caught my attention, I would have just took her to the hospital. Aniya has always been like not bony, but like a decent sized child that just ate a lot.
Okay, so she's not a decent sized child anymore, and she's definitely bony. I'm going to show you a picture. Okay, this is her back. There's absolutely no fat on her back. You can see her pronounced vertebrae.
Yes, and I noticed that too.
What did you notice?
The way her butt was getting wrinkled. And I basically just thought it was coming because she kept throwing up, and it pertains to her losing weight.
Do you see what I'm pointing to here?
Her leg, yeah.
What is that?
Her bone.
Her bone in her what? Do you know what bone this is here?
Her leg.
Well, do you know what bone this is here?
Her side.
Okay, so that's her hip bone, right? Okay. It's very, very pronounced. There's no fat. The thigh is much smaller than the bone structure. Okay, we've got no fat here. We've got a leg that is just bone. This is a knee. Okay, a knee should not be bigger than a thigh. You see how we have a knee that's bigger than her thigh? Okay, what's going on here with her buttock?
I really just thought because she was just, Aniya wasn't, within the last couple of days, Aniya just kept throwing up. And like I told you, I told my dude, that's the reason why it could be caused because she's losing weight.
You have training in early childhood education. And you are sitting in this room trying to convince a mother of 4, who has kids your age, okay, that you, what's going on here?
My daughter butt is wrinkles, which I can see because I noticed that too.
What else is going on in this picture? What do we talk about here?
Her hip bone.
Okay, is that normal?
And I didn't really feel like it was a problem.
You spent 2 years in early childhood education in junior and senior year? You seem very intelligent.
I am intelligent.
Okay. So if you're intelligent and you have this training in early childhood education, why are you trying to convince me that you think this is normal?
I'm not trying to convince you. I didn't catch my attention is what I'm saying.
So you're the mother of this child and you don't see this as a problem?
No, because my child before that she was eating.
How long has she looked like this?
She just started, like I said, she just like literally just started losing her weight.
When?
Her butt just started looking like that.
When did she start looking like this?
Her butt started looking like that approximately Wednesday or Tuesday.
Okay.
But this
didn't happen Tuesday or Wednesday. It's Monday right now. It's Monday at 2 in the morning.
I understand what you're saying.
This isn't a week. This is a long period of time a child takes to get this emaciated.
But Aniya is 4. She's a kid. When a kid don't eat for a couple of days before...
Medical doctors have looked at these photos and have examined the child. This is not a week of the stomach virus.
What I'm saying is she's throwing up a lot.
When did that start?
She started Thursday.
This did not happen since Thursday, okay?
Sometime before
last Thursday, she started looking like this. When was it?
If her body started looking like that, I would have proceeded to take her to the hospital.
Why didn't you take her to the hospital?
Her body wasn't out of proportion to the point that I was concerned to take her to the doctors.
So you saw her body like this?
It wasn't really like that, Miss.
But it is like that.
It is like that.
It is like that. Okay. And the doctors have said it did not happen since Thursday.
I know what you're trying to say.
It did not even happen since last Tuesday.
Her body wasn't looking like that. Aniya was.
When did her body start looking like that?
I said her butt started looking weird around like Tuesday or Wednesday, but it wasn't out of proportion, so I can call the hospital. Is what I'm saying. Aniya was throwing up a lot. What I'm telling you, Aniya wasn't a big sized kid. She was like in between like a medium size.
A child that looks like this,
right,
needs rushed to the ER because there's something seriously wrong. Okay.
I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Right, but you didn't do that. You didn't take her to the doctor. You haven't taken her to the doctor since you don't remember when. Sometime when it was summer and maybe not even this past summer.
That's when she had a checkup. And if you go to the hospital, Aniya's been to all her checkups.
Well, what hospital would I go to find
that out?
You
to the hospital. Her pediatrician.
You don't even know her pediatrician's name. How am I going to get medical records?
I mean, it's a male. It's a male, but it's sometimes a woman too, but I don't know her doctor's name.
Okay, so when's the last time they're going to have her being seen on file?
They told me to take her, I don't know, a couple of months ago. I don't know the exact date when I took my daughter. It was in the summer.
But not this past summer?
No. I was working at Get Ready Circle and I was living in Harbor Crest.
We have 2 totally different stories.
And I don't see how.
Your story does not at all match what caused these injuries to your daughter. Okay, it's not truthful what you're telling us.
I'm telling you, I have no reason to lie. Like if it was cameras in my house, you would have seen.
Well, there are no cameras in your house.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
She fell real hard, and we both heard a bump, like a real loud bump.
This is not a fall. Okay, you can stop trying to convince us that we know this is not a fall.
Miss, I put this on my unborn child. I'm not trying to convince nothing.
Are you pregnant?
No, I'm just saying.
Okay. You said you're unborn child. I just was asking if you're pregnant. Okay. This is not for me, okay? Right. I'm not a medical doctor. We have medical doctors confirming this is not a fall. Okay. Would you, I mean, do you think the medical doctor is the expert, right?
I mean, anybody can be an expert, you know what I mean?
Not anybody. It takes a lot of work to get
I'm not saying like
a
that.
degree, a medical degree, you know, your
I'm gonna get what you're saying.
You're licensed to practice medicine, especially to be a pediatrician, because that's a further area of specialty. Okay. Are you trying to tell me that you don't believe that the pediatricians are right?
I'm not saying that they're not right, but I'm telling you that's what happened. And you're guys saying because you're a pediatrician or whatever.
Okay. That's not what happened. Nothing that you're saying is matching up with how she presents. And I don't know if you've noticed, but every time you tell your story, it changes a little bit. That's a problem when you lie. It's difficult.
I'm not lying.
It's difficult to remember what you've said.
I'm not lying at all. I understand what you're saying about their degrees and stuff, but I don't see how I'm lying.
Okay.
I understand you guys detective and people went to school or whatever, but yeah, I'm a concerned mother, because if I wasn't a concerned mother, I would never took her to the hospital.
You didn't take her to the hospital?
I didn't take her to the hospital right away because I was trying to do my own procedure. Give her the stuff, ginger ale and stuff like that.
Okay, you get a child that looks like this at home. You can't do your own procedure. This is deathly. Okay? Doing your own procedure at home did not fix her. Do you understand?
I was trying to give her food to make sure let her eat.
So you're telling us you tried to give her food and she couldn't eat?
No.
And you didn't rush her to the hospital?
Just thought she was probably sick. I got sick before.
We went over this before. This is not a child who's sick. Okay, what is this?
Her butt is not normal. It's wrinkled.
Her butt is not normal. That is grossly emaciated. So very, very emaciated. Do you know what that means?
No.
So extremely skinny, deathly skinny, no fat, starved to death.
No, and I ate. That's the weird part. She was eating.
Okay, well, if she was eating and she still looked like this, you needed to rush her to the doctor, and you didn't.
Look, I'm a young brother. I'm 23. I thought I was doing my best.
I thought you were doing your best?
Yes.
You work at a daycare?
Yes.
You have training in early childhood? Is Aniya at 4 years old in early childhood?
She's 4, yeah.
Is she in her early childhood?
And you raised a girl school?
So you know what to look for. And you saw this. This is a skeleton. You saw this and you didn't take her for any kind of emergency care.
I was just trying to feed her. Like I said, I thought I knew.
But it wasn't working, right?
It wasn't working.
How long was she not eating?
She started Thursday.
Okay, this didn't happen since Thursday. A child does not go from healthy and eating fine to looking like this on Sunday. These pictures were taken on Sunday.
I understand what you're saying. I've been with Aniya every day, and Aniya, it wasn't no concern for me to take her to the hospital.
Well, there was a concern. If she looked like this, there was a concern, okay? And this besides the burns, the horrible bruise on her eye, which is not from a fall, and also the contusion and bump on her forehead.
Yeah. As well as the marks on her leg.
I understand what you guys are saying, but it's not going to change.
You're not explaining this. You're not giving us a reasonable explanation for this.
I don't know what you guys want me to explain.
We want the truth.
Yeah, we want the
I'm
truth.
telling the truth.
Okay. So we don't have much longer here. Okay, spent enough time here. I need you to understand something. Okay. Do you know what you're going to be charged with when I take you back over to the jail?
No.
What do you think you're going to be charged with?
I don't know. I don't know nothing about the charges. Never been in jail.
You're going to be charged in your daughter's death.
Hmm?
You're going to be charged with her death.
What you mean?
She passed away. She was dead when you guys called us. She was already dead.
My daughter is dead?
She's dead. Sierra, she was dead for hours before you called 911.
Speak for your daughter. Tell us what happened, Sierra.
He just woke
Your
up.
daughter.
I'm speaking. When we woke up, he just said, "Did you smell something?" That's all he said. It was boo that we had smelled.
When do you think she died?
I didn't know.
Do you think she died overnight?
No. I thought she was still breathing.
She wasn't breathing. She's been dead for hours. You know how I understand? I know that. Sierra?
No, I don't.
I'm not a doctor. Who do you think determines how long this person's been dead?
I don't know. Doctors.
Yeah, doctors. But not just any doctor. The kind of doctor who specializes in examining the bodies of deceased people. Okay? So someone with a specialty in death investigation, a medical doctor, a forensic pathologist. Absolutely, without a doubt, she was dead when you called us. And for hours before that. What was going on in those hours before you called us?
She was in the bed. Deonte woke me up and said, "Babe," because Aniya was good. She was breathing. If she wasn't
When was
breathing,
she breathing?
She was breathing. I had her in the tub because I had to wash her up.
When did you have her in the tub?
I had her in the tub after she boo-booed.
When was that?
I told her. She said, "Mommy, can you lay me down? I'm sleepy. I'm tired."
When?
Sunday.
What time on Sunday?
I don't remember what time. You just said my daughter is.
How long before you called us did the bath happen?
The bath wasn't that long.
So she was already dead when you gave her a bath?
Oh, she wasn't dead. Aniya was alive, sitting up.
Well, that's
sitting
not
up. The day before.
That's not what Deonte tells us.
What is Deonte telling you?
Well, he tells us she's dead when you give her a bath.
She told you she was dead when you gave her a bath.
Did you guys decide together to bathe her after you knew she was dead? Whose
No,
idea
she
was
was
it?
up.
Whose idea was it to bathe her?
Both of us. It was both of
You
ours.
decided together to bathe her?
Yes.
Okay.
And she was responsive.
She wasn't responsive.
She was responsive. She wasn't talking. She was just saying, "Mommy, I was sleepy."
Dead kids don't say that. You have one last opportunity, and I want you to understand, okay? You're not going home. You're being charged with this, okay? Your cooperation could go a long way. We're going to charge you regardless. So withholding information from me
I'm
is not going to stop me from
information.
charging you, okay? You have an opportunity here to be honest with me. I'm not judging you, okay? I want to understand what led to this. Help me understand.
I don't know. It could have been Deonte. Aniya not liking Deonte. I don't know.
Did that put you in a position where you felt resentful toward Aniya sometimes?
What you mean resentful?
I don't know. You said that.
You said it could have been Deonte.
Yeah. Aniya not liking him. What did that trigger?
He whooped my daughter before.
He what?
He whooped her before.
He whipped her.
Okay.
How did that make you feel?
Uncomfortable because I never whooped Aniya.
Okay. And when he whipped her, when was this? When did he whip her?
I was staying at Harborcrest.
When you were at Harborcrest? What did he use to whip her?
He used the belt.
He used the belt. How old was she at the time?
4.
Okay. Did you feel comfortable telling him not to discipline her that way? Were you afraid he would leave if you told him to stop?
Yes, no. He told me he knew she.
think you're ready to tell me how this happened.
Speak for her, Sierra.
What do you mean speak?
Just explain to me how this happened, because we know she didn't fall off.
Aniya did fall.
Okay.
We heard a bump.
Okay. So he started whooping her when you guys were on Harbor Crest. How long?
Yes.
Is he still whooping her now?
He'd get angry.
What does he do when he gets angry?
He just grabbed her and put her in the bed
When was that?
a couple of times.
When was the most recent time?
He did it at Harbor Crest a couple of times.
Has he done
The way he whipped my child, I didn't like it. I told him I didn't like it. He said it'll get her to act right, act better. Before I started dating Deonte, Aniya was a normal kid. Deonte came along, I just noticed a change in Aniya. She was acting weird. And the first time I let him whoop Aniya, he left something right here.
He left what?
It was a mark in the back of her. He left right there.
Yeah.
Sent her to her dad. Dad called 4 days later. Said something. My brother took the blame because he knew Mike probably would have flipped on Deonte. I told Deonte, you can't whip my child no more. And he was like, that's just a discipliner because she doesn't listen. He used to discipline her, putting her arms up. Something that I never did because I know Aniya started acting weird.
I have a doll that we use to help with cases like these. I understand it's more of like an infant size than she is, but if I get it, can you show me what you're talking about? Okay. Do you know where it is, boss? So we understand that Aniya is bigger than this, but you started to say something about putting her hands up? Okay. So where...
Deonte brought it to my conclusion because I never did nothing with her.
Okay. And this... Okay, so the first whooping is which one?
Right here.
Okay, and where was Aniya? Sitting or standing when it
She was
happened?
standing.
Standing? Okay, go ahead.
He just had her arms and he was just whooping her. And he was like, this to get her to act right. And he had told her to go to the bed. She went to the bed.
Okay, was he holding her up off the ground while he was whooping her?
Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't like he was holding her and she was on the ground. He was holding her up.
Because she
so
was moving.
Her feet weren't touching the ground. Okay. And he was whooping her with what?
A belt.
A belt. Okay.
His belt.
His own belt? Okay. Okay. You started to say something about Deonte putting her arms up? What is that about?
I didn't discipline her at all. I just talked to Aniya. Deonte came to the conclusion to put her arms up like this. And I can see fear in her eyes that she hated it. And she looked at me like, Mommy, you never done this with me. That was a way that he told me to discipline her. And I felt like...
How long was she made to hold her arms up like that?
Until he told her to put them down.
All right, so can you stand up and show me what she was made to do? I'm not understanding fully. And were her arms touching anything?
No.
She had to hold them up in the air?
Mm-hmm.
Was she against the wall?
No.
Standing in the middle of the room?
Mm-hmm.
And how did you know that her arms were getting tired?
She would do this.
Okay. Would her arms start to shake? You know how like when your muscles get tired?
She'd just keep putting them down.
Okay, and what would happen to her when she put her arms down?
I give her leeway. I just tell him to put her in the bed.
What would he do when she put her arms down?
Maybe let her keep it up for a little bit more. She'll learn. I never started this. I never started. He also did a push-up position.
How long did he make her hold the push-up position?
Well, I didn't let him do it for long because I could till her arms was getting tired.
How could you tell her arms were getting tired?
She was shaking.
So besides putting the arms up,
Push-up position, striking her with the belt, what other forms of punishment were being used on Aniya? That was it, because I wasn't doing nothing.
Okay. I need you to explain to me. Look, open your eyes.
I wasn't disciplining her.
Okay. It's not you. Okay.
Discipline my child.
Okay. Can you look at me?
I noticed it change.
Are you all right?
I noticed it change in my child when you did come around.
Okay. Sierra, can you look at me? I don't know why you're avoiding looking at me, but I want you to understand that right now we're working together on this, okay? You're helping me understand what happened to Aniya, okay? Go ahead.
After Deonte whooped Aniya, he was whooping her really bad on her backside.
Okay.
First time he did it, she was really crying real bad, so that made me walk in the room and I told him to stop. And I believe after that I let her dad see her or whatever. That's when her dad mentioned that. And I was just trying to figure out what to say. My brother was like, you might as well just say I did it because he's going to come after Deonte. He just said, Eric was like, well, just tell Michael that I whooped her, so I did that. After that, I don't know what month it was, he whooped her again really bad. And it caused, I felt like she started prolonging not to walk after he whooped her.
What do
I
you mean
noticed
by that?
she didn't want to walk.
Why?
As if
Where was her injury?
It was at Harbor Crest. And I noticed
on her body, where was she whooped?
He whooped her again, right here. They got the bottom part. And I noticed.
Okay, so this isn't an anatomically correct doll, but if this was the waist and these were buttocks, is she getting whooped on her back or on her butt?
And on the legs part.
Oh, so on her back, butt, and legs?
No, leg part. And toward the front.
And on her front as well? On her torso, arms, or legs?
This part, because she was moving around.
Her legs? And what is she being struck with?
A belt.
A belt? Okay. So you were trying to tell me about that. Tell me more about that.
After the whipping, Aniya stopped walking.
When was that? When did she stop walking?
I don't know. It happened in Harbor Crest, and I noticed a more change in her. When Deonte would come around, she would, as if she was scared of him, because I had this conversation with her. It's like if she was afraid of him. And I was just trying to hide it. Because I like Deonte a lot. So I let it prolong. And I know I was wrong as a mother to let him with my child, because I never did. And I stopped walking. And I felt like she was walking. She could walk. She did it around me. When Deonte came around, it's like she was fake. Like she was dead. She was fake. Like as if she was scared of him. And he noticed, he said, when she's around you, she act different. She doesn't speak to him. She told me several times she didn't like noodles.
Okay. This mark on her leg here, like we see these burns, which we'll get to later, but do you know what caused this mark here? Because you're talking about being whooped on her legs, and I'm just wondering if this mark here was caused by one of those whoopings. Do you know? Have you seen marks like this on her after a whooping?
No. I never whooped Aniya.
But you're saying you saw Deonte whooping her,
yes,
and that it hit her in the legs and back and torso everywhere. Did you ever see marks? Did the belt cause injury?
I really just thought that came from the body wash.
Okay, but I mean, there obviously was visible injury at some point, because you got a mark that you know about. Go ahead.
I'm trying to take up because he might spill the beans.
Yeah, don't take up.
He noticed Aniya started acting very weird. I let him whoop. She wasn't a bad child. She didn't. She didn't listen when Aniya didn't get her way. She did throw tantrums or whatever.
Yeah.
Deonte figured to get her act right, to whoop her. So when he whooped her, I walked out the room, and the way she was screaming, it made me walk back in the room, and he stopped. And Aniya acted like she couldn't walk. So when he whooped her again, she walked or whatever. And then days after that, Aniya just started, I guess Aniya wasn't used to the whoopings or the discipline or whatever. Aniya just told me, I don't like noodles, mommy. I don't like noodles. I looked past it because she was a kid. I felt like Aniya prolonged, it happened to her. I feel like she prolonged not to walk and to act different or towards us because of the discipline, the whooping. After that one belt thing, when he whooped her, it was marks left. We argued because I never left a bruise on my child. And I just felt like it was fear in Aniya. I felt like she was scared of Deonte, is what I told him. I felt like my child was scared of him. So her being scared, when he came around, she prolonged not to speak to him. She just act different. Like the one day I had Aniya doing her homework. She's very smart. She was doing it when Deonte walked in. She just acted like she was retarded, like she didn't want to do it. As if she's just afraid to do stuff around Deonte. Prolonging to the reason why she's acting like that, a week or two, did her like this and shook her and said maybe she'll start walking. I said,
this happened just recently?
Yes, about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
I stood back. I tapped him. I'm like, baby, don't. She can cause a seizure. He said, baby, maybe she'll get back to walking. Maybe she'll get back to acting right. I said, no, baby, it's going to scare her more. And I could have stopped it as a mother, but I was just so busy listening to Deonte.
Okay. So you just showed me how he picked her up by her feet, turned her upside down, and shook her.
He told me it will make it better.
It'll make what better?
I heard her walk right. I heard her start back to talking.
She wasn't walking or talking anymore?
After he whooped her, she prolonged not to walk. And I let it happen.
So, a couple weeks ago you saw him, you're right?
Teddy.
A couple weeks ago you saw him turn her upside down. Okay.
It's in my new apartment.
In your new apartment. And you said that at that time she wasn't walking and talking.
She stopped walking when he started whooping her.
Okay.
I wasn't putting her arms up. I wasn't putting her in push-up position. I never whooped Aniya. And I felt like Aniya was looking at me like my mama never did this stuff. Maybe if I prolong to do this, he won't do nothing. And it didn't work. She still didn't walk. And I felt like she was afraid.
Did he make you discipline her to show him that you would discipline her, or how did that go?
What you mean?
Like, were you refusing to discipline your own daughter?
Only thing I did was put her in timeout, told her no.
Okay.
I never believed in, but I'm young, I'm dating. Making up lies because he's my dude.
I'm glad you're starting to understand what a bad decision that was, coming in here knowing you're telling me a lie. I need to understand, you said a couple weeks ago he started with the turning her upside down and shaking her, right?
And I knew it would lead to a seizure or whatever.
A brain injury.
I never disciplined Aniya. She was getting just everything that she wanted. And he felt like that could have been the reason why she don't speak to him, or she just do certain stuff that a kid would do that, not listen sometimes, throw a tantrum, not want to speak. Mm-hmm. But he was the first person that she never spoke to though.
Yeah.
I knew my right hand to God. I knew it was a change when I dated him.
Yeah.
But I lied because I was dating Deonte. I like Deonte.
Sure.
So I took it. And I know it's a lot of mothers that take stuff, when people do stuff to their kids, they just lie and bypass it.
Sure.
Oh, he ain't do it. I'll let him do it. He looked at me crazy. Baby, she started walking. She stopped walking when he whooped her.
Yeah.
She looked at me. Mommy, you don't do this. And I don't. My daughter's dead because of him. She could have prolonged it because, he whooped me. Kids can kill themselves because of what's going on. You know what I mean? And Aniya was so smart. I felt in my heart she prolonged to do this because of the discipline she was getting from him. Miss, I knew this was wrong. I knew the shaking was wrong.
Okay.
He did it about twice. I knew that was wrong. I knew it was wrong. I knew when we gave her a bath, when we placed her in the tub, hey, is she okay? Is she okay? And I would stand over her and I'd be like, Deonte, chill, just be chill. No, she faking. And I thought she was faking too, which I believe she was because she was scared.
This morning, Sunday, before you called us?
I felt like Aniya prolonged. Kids can kill themselves because of what they're going through at home is what I'm trying to say to you.
You think that she was so terrified that she put herself into a state that caused her death?
Yes.
You think she was that scared?
Yes, I know.
Notice how Sierra is constantly stating that Aniya was prolonging her injuries. But remember how very early on in the interview, Sierra said Aniya was pretending to be sick? Even after confessing to detectives all of this information on how they were abusing Aniya, she still continues to say Aniya was faking it or prolonging it. She was fully aware that Deonte was brutally abusing her daughter and continued to say that her daughter was faking it. It really makes me wonder if Sierra genuinely believed that Aniya was actually faking it. If for some sick reason, even after she and Deonte both physically abused this little girl, she still thought to herself that Aniya was faking it.
Shaking could have caused it. She's little.
I need to understand.
Aniya stopped walking at Harper Crust after her whooping.
Yeah.
He whooped her very fucking hard, and I was scared for my own child's life.
Sure.
When I heard her cry, I came into the room and I said, baby, you need to chill. When I saw the mark on her, I knew her dad was going to say something.
Yeah.
I still gave her to Mike. 4 days later, he called me, cussing me out. I'm in the truck with noodles. I'm like, I knew he was going to do this. Baby, it's not a big mark. I felt like it wasn't a big mark either, but still, I didn't like the way he was whooping her, and I let him. He came to the conclusion, baby, put her arms up, put the position. I know she didn't like it. I knew she didn't like it, and I still let it go on. I'm afraid of men. I'm gonna be honest. I'm very afraid of men. I used to get abused when I was a kid, so I was always scared. But I don't like to show no fear of scaredness in front of people. Mm-hmm. My baby, I felt like she prolonged her death because of him, because of a whooping. And I swear to fucking God, God can come down here right now. Because anybody know I did my job as a mother. He choked her once in Harper Crust.
He choked her?
He choked her once in Harper Crust.
Can you show me with the towel how he did that?
And I let him. My dumb ass. He just did like this and he told her to act right. And I can see it in Aniya's face. For a child not to really get whooped isn't something. It's very something new to them. Miss, I could have prevented from her death. I could have prevented from her death. I could prevent it. I know you're prolonged to do this. I know she prolonged to do this because she was scared. I didn't think she was going to die. I knew as a mother she prolonged to do this because she was scared of Deonte. Told Deonte, I said, my daughter's afraid. I feel like Aniya did something. I don't know what she did, but I feel like she led it to this point. She didn't want herself to eat. She stopped walking because she was afraid. I knew it. She was normal with me. She was normal. You could see my face. I just pictured that night. It was normal. I got into a relationship with my daughter started acting weird.
When did she stop eating?
She was eating, but she was eating very, very slow. She was eating very slow.
When did her eating habits change from a normal, healthy eating habit to this?
I realized it. I realized it when we was in Harbor Crest.
Okay. Did you take her to the doctor then when you noticed the weight loss back on Harbor Crest?
No, because there was no concerns. She was eating, but it's as if I'm Aniya, as if she's thinking in her head. Mm-hmm. Mommy let this man put his hands on me. My mama don't whip me. My mama don't do this. I'm gonna prolong to do something because I'm sick of it.
Like
I quit work.
Planned?
I don't work again. I quit my job to stay home with my child.
When did you quit at Ready Set Go?
I quit about 3 weeks ago because Aniya wasn't walking, and I knew if I kept walking in the daycare, they would have looked at me like, why are you carrying a 4-year-old? I carried her and get Ready Set Girl for 3 or 4 days. I said, Deonte, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
I told Deonte, he said the baby would get better. Her walk prolonged. After that whooping, it prolonged. She prolonged not to walk.
She continued not walking, is what you're saying? Okay. Do you remember? I know you remember it. I know you haven't wanted to talk about it, but I think it's time. How her left eye got injured? Can you tell me about that?
I just thought it came off when he placed her in the tub and just put her down in the tub.
And that happened when?
I mean, every time he would grab her out the bed.
Oh, that was routinely how he carried her around the house? That's okay, don't worry about that.
Place her down and say, baby, I'm not harming her. And I'll be like, I know you're not trying to.
Mm-hmm.
Just to get her act right, basically.
Okay.
And after it prolonged for so long, I felt like Aniya was gonna prolong it for so long because if she felt like she walked, it's gonna happen again.
So she was playing dead, you think, to avoid being hurt by?
Just playing like she was hurt.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't used to the whoopings and the discipline. So she would prolong her to be hurt.
When did she stop talking?
It's not that she stopped talking, she would talk, but she wouldn't say a full-blown conversation. She wouldn't talk unless you said something to her. As if she was just thinking. As if she was just sitting there thinking. To plan to not be here. And I knew it.
You think she wished herself dead because she was in so much pain and fear?
Yeah.
You do?
I knew it was, the way she was acting.
Yeah.
I wanted to just be like, Deonte, just stop. It's not working. Just be normal. But I didn't say nothing. And I don't know why I didn't say nothing. I guess I just said nothing because I know Deonte was my dude. But I know people will look at me weird, like you're the mother.
Yeah.
I'm young. She's my first child.
Okay.
I could have stopped it.
You could have stopped it.
I could have stopped the whooping. I feel like
she brought her here. We could have got you some help. Looking back on the last couple days, I know when you came in here you said you were lying for your man and whatever, so you're being more honest with me now. But I'm wondering, when is the first time that you realized that Aniya was dead? Be honest.
I didn't know. I just thought she stopped breathing.
Okay. When was the first time? Was it Saturday night?
No, it was Sunday. It was Sunday.
What time?
It was Sunday. It was in the bed.
What time? Morning?
I called you guys around like 4-ish.
I think, yes, closer to 4.
And I realized it around like 2.
So you realized a couple hours before you called us that
and
she
I would just look at her stomach, and I'm like, baby, is she breathing?
Yeah.
Is she breathing? And I see her eye open. He told me that her eye moved, and I didn't see it move. He was like, baby, I saw her eye move.
Yeah.
She's alive. She's prolonged to fake. I was very concerned. I'm like, Aniya's not breathing. Because I kept going back and forth into the room
And why didn't anybody call 911 when you first realized she wasn't breathing?
Because we just thought she was breathing, and I noticed she wasn't. She's bony.
You noticed what?
She's bony.
Bony.
And I noticed when I was looking at her stomach, I'm like, is she breathing? I thought she was, but then I knew I was wrong. And when I was touching her, she wasn't a normal. She wasn't a normal, like a normal. She was cold, basically.
She was cold.
She wasn't warm.
Yeah. When did you notice that she was stiff?
When we woke her up, tried to wake her up.
Yeah.
I knew something was wrong with my heart.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep. I was tossing and turning.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't sleep. I left my job. I was stressed when I left my job.
Yeah.
I said, Deonte, this is not your child. You can leave whenever you want to, and this can be on me, and you was the cause of it, is what I told him.
Yeah.
And he said, baby, I'm not going to leave you because I know I was the cause of it. He was like, I should have thought. I should never whooped her. I should never did this, because that's when she started prolonging it.
Okay.
I was basically just listening to him. Because I thought, it ain't no thought. I knew he wasn't going to be right. I just let him do it.
You just let him do it.
And she looked at me as if she knew she just looked at me as if, Mommy, you don't do this to me. And I let him. He knew, and I knew. She started acting weird after the way he whooped her was hard. She never spoke to him. She would just talk to me, and he'd be like, she don't want to speak. I'm like, no, she don't like what you're doing. And I still let her prolong. I could have stopped the shaking. I could have stopped the way he picked her up. I knew Aniya was looking at me totally different. She's 4, but she's very smart.
Yeah. So going back to Sunday yesterday, which is when you called us. So earlier you said you were sleepless, laying on the couch, knowing your child is not eating or walking. Okay. So that's sometime before 4. But at what time was it when you first knew that she was?
When I got up to check on her.
What time did you get up?
And he was still laying there.
And he was still what?
Laying there. And I said, I don't think she's breathing.
What time was that?
I got up. I believe I got up early. Checking. I noticed she was just laying in the bed.
Early?
I'm like,
is the sun up already?
It was wrong. Like, it was early. Because I couldn't sleep, and I got up.
6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m.? How early is early for you?
I'm like 9.
9 a.m., okay.
And when I got up, he was like, baby, you can't sleep. And I'm like, how can you sleep knowing you had to leave your job because your daughter was acting weird and you didn't want nobody to notice how weird she was acting? Going normal to weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in there to check on her because I just didn't feel right. I didn't feel like something was right.
Right.
So when I went in the room, I just noticed the way you had it, the way she was in the picture, the way she was laying.
Yeah.
And I did this. And I'm like, baby, I'm not for sure if she's breathing or not. I did this, and I thought I felt some air.
Okay.
He was just like, well, I saw her, because we walked into the kitchen. He was like, I saw her blink. I'm like, she didn't blink with me. She just had that one eye open.
Yeah.
I knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
That's why I couldn't eat my Chipotle. I couldn't do nothing, because I know something was wrong with my child.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to have to call the police. Because she's not breathing, what can I do?
Yeah.
So when we noticed she wasn't breathing, she did smell weird, like piss or whatever. Put her in the tub.
Mm-hmm.
Washed her up.
Yeah.
I washed her up. Took her out the tub, put a pull-up on her, put her socks and pants and stuff on.
Yeah.
I'm like, baby, I'm gonna try to do CPR. I started doing this and that's all I kept hearing. Took her later on the couch.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll hold her. I'm like, no, I'll hold her. I carried her for 9.5 months. I tried to put mouth to mouth and it still wasn't working. And I knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
Because after you do something like that, normally somebody would come back. And I prolonged to try to do it. I said, baby, we got to call an ambulance. There's nothing that we can do. When I called, she led me through the same stuff that I did.
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew she wasn't. I was like, I knew it in my heart.
You knew she was dead. And you've known it since 9 in the morning.
I kept doing this. I thought I felt air come through.
Okay.
I'm like, maybe she just, I'm like, maybe she just sick, maybe she just went later. But I'm like, baby, I know something is wrong. I knew it because the way she looked and the way this was.
What we have learned from this interrogation is that Sierra is claiming Deonte is responsible for every single injury on Aniya. The marks on her head were from him forcefully putting her in a bathtub. The burn marks on her legs were from him forcing her to lie under freezing cold water for 10 minutes straight. The bruises on her body were from the many whoopings that Aniya endured. And she was so skinny and starved because she was so tired of being abused that she wanted to take her own life. And to do that, decided to starve herself. Obviously, a lot of this still doesn't make any sense. After she starts to tell detectives what Deonte did to Aniya, you might have noticed that she frequently stated, "I never touched Aniya." But what she seemed to forget was that a large amount of documented injuries to Aniya were from before she even met Deonte. Remember the 14 incidents from Harbor Crest Daycare? All 14 of them had absolutely nothing to do with Deonte. The problem with this is we have no idea what the truth is. We don't know if anything Sierra said in that interrogation was even true. She clearly put most of the blame on Deonte, stating that he is the only one that has ever whooped Aniya, and then even put some of the blame on Aniya, constantly saying that she was faking it or prolonging her injuries. But I don't think we will ever really know how Aniya got most of her injuries and who actually inflicted them. Both Sierra and Deonte went to trial at the beginning of 2019, where Sierra claimed that Deonte was responsible for all of the abuse to Aniya, and where Deonte claimed that Sierra was responsible for all of the abuse to Aniya, and he was never there when Aniya was injured. He also claimed that whenever Aniya was abused, he never involved himself because she was not his child. His attorney stating, quote, "He just let Sierra do what she needed to do as her mother." An autopsy was done on Aniya that showed the true extent of how severe her injuries were. Instead of trying to explain it myself, I do want to play the testimony from the forensic pathologist who did Aniya's autopsy. He's very well spoken and he explains all of her injuries and what exactly happened to her.
So I put things in an outline form. So Roman numeral 1 are her head injuries, and I stated that the bruise or the contusion of the right forehead. The next one is a contusion and ecchymosis of the left periorbital and left lateral orbital face. That's doctor word for a black eye. Because there's bruising, that's a contusion from direct trauma, and ecchymosis is bleeding associated with the initial injury. And because of that, there's the next injury, which is subcutaneous, that's below the skin, swelling of left eyelids. Her eyelids were so swollen it was difficult to actually open and pry them open for me to see the colors of her left eye.
And do we have a timing of that, sir?
That is going to be around 2 days or so prior to her death, the black eye.
So she was alive when she got that?
Yes.
Okay.
The next injury is a laceration, which is a tear of her left upper eyelid. It was relatively small, but on the top of her left eyelid. Those were all the external injuries. The next category is recent hemorrhages within paraocular soft tissues. That means that she had had hemorrhage not on the surface of the eyeball, but in the connective tissues around the eyeball. So I'm able to look inside her skull and see that she had hemorrhage in those eyes, around those eyes, a time prior, weeks to months, based on there's no fresh hemorrhage there.
All right. Section F.
Section F is essentially the main reasons why she died, and that's the organized left subdural hematoma. That means a hematoma is a blood clot, and organized means it's been there for a while and the body is trying to cure itself or heal itself by absorbing that blood back into the body. And the body is fascinating in that it can heal itself within reason when given the opportunity, and that shows that because of that hematoma, that blood clot, her body was trying to resorb it back and heal herself. Unfortunately, the damage to the brain is not as able to heal itself with that. Because of the nature of that blood clot, it had been present there for weeks to months prior to her death, because of how the tissue is healing off that hematoma or blood clot. As I stated, the blood clot, when it's blood that's in the on top of the brain, and the brain is very snug within the skull. As the blood clot expands, it presses on the brain, and that caused secondary complications, which I list as subacute cerebral infarctions in the distribution of the left anterior and the left posterior cerebral arteries. That is doctor terminology for a stroke that has happened fairly recently, and it still hasn't gotten down to a complete scar. So there's still the body is remodeling and trying to wall off how far the stroke is. And the stroke is essentially on the front portion of the left brain and the back portion of the left brain, just on the left-hand side.
And doctor, you said fairly recently. What do you mean by that?
At a minimum, this is 2 weeks that the stroke has been there. It could be going on for several weeks, beyond 2, even up to several months.
Okay. Number 2.
There's the next complication of the subdural hematoma is cerebellar Purkinje, Purkinje, cell loss. Those are neurons in the back part of the brain that have essentially died off because of the lack of oxygen to the brain caused by that bleeding that did not allow blood to get into the brain and cause the stroke. The part of the brain that's affected is the part of the brain that's responsible for muscle coordination. So she would be, if she was able to walk, she would be stuporous and clumsy and not coordinated because she's got a stroke in that part of the brain as well. The last complication is remote left optic nerve subdural hemorrhage. That means that there was bleeding that extended from the brain to the left eyeball, and that had happened at or near the same time that the subdural hematoma occurred.
All right, doctor. And then you move on to malnutrition. And what are your findings with regards to malnutrition?
Malnutrition is essentially starvation, and I list all of the supporting features of her malnutrition, including her body length of 40 inches, which I stated was in the 50th percentile for all girls of that age. Her body weight is 26 pounds, which is less than the 3rd percentile. She should be around 36 pounds to be in the 50th percentile for her weight. Her body mass index is calculated to be 11.42. Ideal is between 18 and 25 or so, so she's severely malnourished, way below the 18. I list she's got loose, wrinkled, and redundant skin. She's lost so much of her underlying muscles and fat tissue that her skin looks like an older person, where it's wrinkling and sagging because she's lost the plumpness of the underlying muscles and fat. And I specifically mentioned subcutaneous soft tissue, which is muscle and adipose tissue atrophy. That's wasting away, which causes the skin to look loose. Then she developed some organ complications, which include acute pancreatitis. As I stated, she's not eating well, so her pancreas is inflamed because it doesn't have any food to digest, so it starts to digest its own organ. She has acute hemorrhagic gastropathy, and those are the ulcers that are in her stomach because she's forming too much acid as normal digestion, but not any food going in her stomach. So it's starting to erode her internal lining of her stomach. She has pulmonary atelectasis and airspace hemorrhage. These are the lung findings where she's not breathing deep, so her lungs are partially collapsed. That's atelectasis. And then part of the shock is the blood needs to go someplace that's pumping through the lungs, so it's going into the air spaces. So she's got some bleeding on the inside of her lungs. And then finally, she's got cutaneous petechiae of right infraorbital ridge. Those are skin, punctate, or dot-like hemorrhages on the right lower eyelid, and that's shock because, again, the body is slowing down and blood kind of goes to path of least resistance, and in this case it was on the right side of her face.
All right, doctor, and then you move on to Roman numeral 3. The next category are blunt impacts to her trunk, which is the thorax and abdomen and pelvis area, and extremities, which are arms and legs, with abrasions, which are scratches, of the posterior left thorax, that's the left back where the ribs are, also on her left upper arm and her left upper leg. These are minor injuries, but they're on her body, and so I document what they are and where they are. Roman numeral number 4.
These include the multifocal, meaning that they're in various areas but clustered areas of skin slippage of undetermined etiology on both lower legs and her right foot. As I described, she's got what appear to be blisters at one time that had popped, the fluid had come out, and so now I just see them as losses of skin on her lower legs and her right foot. And I'm not sure exactly where they came from. I can't tell scientifically or pathologically what caused those.
Roman numeral 5.
Roman numeral 5 is a superficial cutaneous ulcers of both lower legs. These are the beginnings of bed sores that are forming on her lower legs. She has 3 areas of skin slippage. These are the areas that were blisters at one time on her outer portion of her right lower leg and her outer portion of her right foot. And these are in an area of 4 3/4 inches by 2 1/2 inch. So essentially it's between the knee and down to the little toe on the outside of her right leg.
And doctor, based on your training and experience, this skin seepage, how does it cause to be?
Well, based on the color, there's something that came in contact with the skin that irritated the skin. So this could be just because she's lying in a moist environment and it's causing the skin to break down. It could be a burn from either a contact, something touched her, or fluid, although it doesn't really have a fluid pattern.
or it could just be if someone was rubbing her to clean her skin. You can just slough off the skin if you rub, because her skin is very thin to begin with.
So,
well,
doctor,
not to begin with, but at the time of her death.
Doctor, if this child was lying in a bed full of urine and her leg had been sitting there marinating for days, could that have affected it?
Yes, that could be a reason why she's got those blisters.
And what were your findings when you looked under the microscope with regards to the trauma to the your subdural hematoma, the trauma to the brain?
Well, as I stated, it's been the subdural hematoma has been present there for a minimum of 10 days. It's more likely 2 weeks or advanced, but certainly 10 days prior to her death. The strokes are also an ongoing evolution of the strokes, and they've been developing for a similar time frame, for about a week or 2 weeks on up. It could be even a month or two, depending on various areas of the healing process.
Doctor, with regards, did the trauma cause the stroke?
Yes.
And as a result of that, is this a typical stroke that you would see in an ordinary person that dies of a stroke?
No.
Why is that?
Most people who die of strokes are older people who have underlying heart conditions, whereas they have a blood clot that travels to their brain and causes the brain to be starved of oxygen and blood, or there is a closure or a hemorrhage in one of the blood vessels. This is the only time I've seen a stroke to this degree in a toddler of 4 years of age. I've certainly seen them in children who are, born with cerebral palsy and, during birth process, but not because of trauma directed on this child. So what happened, as I stated, the brain is snug within the skull. There's bleeding on the surface, and that bleeding is expanding because blood vessels are torn, and so it adds pressure on the brain because the brain is soft and the heart is pumping blood with pressure, and so it squeezes that left side of the brain and closes off at least 2 major blood vessels to prevent blood going to that part of the brain and strokes in those parts of the brain.
And is it fair to say, doctor, based on your training and experience, that this was significant trauma that this child suffered to her head that caused the stroke?
Absolutely.
All right, doctor. And before we look at the photographs so you can show the ladies and gentlemen of the jury some of these things that you have just spoken about with the medical terms, based on this particular autopsy and your findings of this autopsy and within the bounds of medical certainty, have you formed an expert opinion concerning the cause of death of Aniya Day?
Yes, I have.
And what is the cause of death?
Aniya Garrett died as a result of a cerebral infarction, and that was due to blunt impacts to head with subdural hematoma, and she also had a contributing cause of death as malnutrition.
And doctor, based on your opinion, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, and your findings as to the cause of death, what is your medical examiner's ruling with respect to the manner of death?
This is classified as a homicide.
I really want to point out this moment during the forensic pathologist's testimony. At this time, he is showing the jury photographs of Aniya's body as she was brought in. But pay attention to the judge. You can tell there's a delay in when the photo appears on his screen, but when he finally sees it, he is visibly shocked. It's so bad that he has to cover his mouth in literal horror. It really goes to show how extreme these injuries to Aniya were.
State's Exhibit 301 is a photograph of Aniya Garrett, and she has been taken off of the body bag. Didn't really need to wipe off her face because it was already clean, but we oftentimes will have a photograph that is dirty, meaning how we receive, and then one that we clean off any blood.
Anyone that would have laid eyes on Aniya within the 2 weeks before she died would have known she was dying. Not only because she couldn't walk and eventually couldn't talk, but because she was so extremely emaciated that she looked like a skeleton. Aniya's stroke was at least 2 weeks before she died, but many of her injuries were more recent than that, like the bruise and the laceration above her eye that happened 7 days before she died, or the very large, prominent black eye that happened just 2 days before she died. Aniya was slowly withering away and dying for weeks. She couldn't walk, she couldn't talk, she was urinating on herself. She was so extremely malnourished that her pancreas was digesting itself. She was visibly dying in front of 2 people's eyes, and they continued to abuse her. It took the jury only 5 hours to find Sierra Day and Deonte Lewis guilty of the murder of Aniya. They were both found guilty of 1 count of aggravated murder, 1 count of murder, 1 count of felony assault, 1 count of permitting child abuse, 3 counts of child endangering, and 1 count of tampering with evidence. Aniya's father, Michael Garrett, made a statement before sentencing.
Again, I would like to say thank you and good afternoon to everybody today. I am Michael Garrett, father of our beautiful world hero, Aniya Marie Garrett. In the words of Martin Luther King, justice denied anywhere diminishes justice everywhere. In this instance, some justice has been served. Aniya Marie Garrett, my daughter, who was murdered on March 11, 2018, devastates my entire life, my family, and the whole entire world. I want to thank you today, Judge Timothy McCormick, for your honesty in a court of law. I trust you to fairly apply the law and deliver the maximum conviction possible, and that you do just that. To the jury, I thank them as well. Thank you very much also for reaching a deserving verdict. To the media, I would like to thank you for shedding light on Aniya's life, on the beautiful angel and little girl that my daughter is. To all our supporters around the world, I would like to thank you all so very much for all your love and keeping me lifted each and every day. I have waited for this day, and I sought justice to the full extent of law. While on my journey, I cannot anticipate the reaction when placed face to face with Aniya's murderers. In my opinion, the death penalty would be fair, but then again, that would be too easy for the torture and death of a 4-year-old child. I did everything I could to protect Aniya from danger and to keep her out of harm's way, as a loving father would and should. Lewis didn't care as he watched my daughter suffer for months because she was not his child. It was not his life. He did not care to help protect Aniya. So weak of a man. Sierra Day, Aniya's birth mother, how could you torture and murder your own flesh and blood, your daughter, my beautiful princess, my angel, my perfect Aniya? Anybody who can hurt a child is a coward and should be penalized and have the maximum of life in prison. From this very day, from the very first day of my daughter's life, September 2nd, 2013, I have been there for Aniya, teaching my daughter how to walk, how to talk, how to read, how to write, how to feed herself, how to recognize and appreciate the beautiful things in life. Teaching Aniya things like little things a human should just know, or a child should know. My daughter was only 4 years old, I look forward to the day I could walk my daughter into preschool or even kindergarten, watching her grow up to be smart and amazing, graduating to 5th grade, going off to middle school, and then off to high school. I look forward to teaching Aniya how to drive and buying her first car someday. She would have begun to fly on her own journey and go off to college and getting a master's degree in whatever my baby desired. I would have been right there to support her every step of the way. Right there every step of the way. Those were the desires I had for my daughter before her life was cut short at 4 years old. These two murderers, these two monsters, ruined my entire life. There are not enough words to recover this. You have ruined my life, leaving Aniya, my daughter, with no future of any kind. They should be put away forever. I hope and pray Aniya receive the justice that we deserve. I will be Aniya's voice that will be heard to the monsters like Sierra Day and Deonte Lewis, and abusive caretakers from seeing the light of day. I will also be the voice against other children, for other children, being disregarded and mishandled by DCFS. I will not stop fighting for justice. I will keep fighting to make sure changes happen here in this community, Cuyahoga County, and all around the world. Whatever it takes, I will not stop fighting for justice. I will not stop fighting to make sure changes happen for the safety of all children. We will not stop fighting to protect all our children. I will not stop fighting for the Aniya law. I will continue to fight for great fathers everywhere, pushing for awareness to the fact that because a woman carries and delivers a child does not simplify she deserves better parenting or has better parenting. Lastly, I am a God-fearing man, an advocate for child abuse prevention, a hip-hop entertainer. Don't define who I am by how I look or how I dress. Define me based off my actions and the impact that I leave in this world. I truly hope this never happens to no other child ever again on this planet, as it should not have happened to Aniya Marie Garrett. Our children should not be dying to selfish abuse. In the words of Alexander Hamilton, I think the first duty of society is justice. I thank you for your time.
Before the sentencing, the prosecution also made a very powerful request to the judge, and it truly is amazing to see how passionate she was about getting justice for this baby girl.
And lastly, Your Honor, you heard Dr. Philo say she got a bruise on her face 2 days before she died. And again, I say to you, what could that child have done to merit a bruise on her eye? Did she moan? Did she ask for water? Did she defecate on herself? Their inactions caused her death. Their actions caused their death. And the penalty is commiserate with that. They took a life, and their life should be behind bars. And I respectfully request that on March 11th of every year that they both sit in solitary and think about what they did to that child. Because they're the ones that did that to that child. Nobody else. There's no boogeyman. There's no red herring. They are the two individuals that decided to kill a child, and they did it methodically for 3 months. Impose the sentence that this case demands, and listen to Aniya Day's voice. Thank you.
Sierra Day was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Deonte Lewis was sentenced to life in prison but will be eligible for parole after 20 years. His first parole hearing is scheduled for January of 2038. Knowing how our justice system works, he will likely get out of prison someday. I personally feel like this is a huge injustice to Aniya's case, and Deonte should not have gotten the option for parole. The social workers Laura Green and Laura Cole, who handled Aniya's case, were both terminated in August of 2018. Documents regarding their termination stated, quote, "Given the alleged abuse, physical injuries, and number of people who notified them, they did not act with a sense of urgency to protect the 4-year-old. Important allegations were not investigated vigorously, if at all, and they failed to see Aniya as often as they should have." In April of 2019, Michael Garrett filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Cuyahoga County, stating that Aniya was failed by caseworkers, private daycare owners, and their employees. The lawsuit claimed that the social workers failed to conduct the basic tasks in regards to checking on a child's welfare, such as conducting proper interviews or even following up with the family. They also completely ignored documented injuries on Aniya and Aniya's own complaints that mommy was hurting her. In June of 2022, Cuyahoga County officials agreed to pay Michael $3 million in a settlement for this lawsuit. This is unfortunately another case of another child who was completely ignored by the people that were supposed to help her. What is the point of CPS and DCFS if they're just going to close cases without actually investigating them? What is the point of a daycare documenting 14 separate injuries to a child if CPS and DCF won't even look at that? What is the point of DCFS and CPS if they won't listen to a 4-year-old child that is saying her mommy is hurting her? Why does this keep happening, and what can we do to prevent it? Right as you're watching this video, this very second, as I'm talking to you, there is a child out there somewhere being abused. There is a child out there possibly being locked in a closet, being beaten by their parents, being starved. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of children that are dealing with this kind of abuse right this second, and there's nothing we can do about it. This will unfortunately not be the last child abuse case that I cover, because as long as it keeps happening, I am going to keep talking about it. This video will likely be posted shortly after her birthday, which is September 2nd. So I want to take a moment to wish this sweet, beautiful girl a happy birthday. Aniya Garrett would have been 11 years old by now. She could have been starting her 6th grade year at school this year. She could have enjoyed many days at the park, playing with friends, or spending the day with her family. She could have been a living, breathing, beautiful 11-year-old girl by now. But because of the actions of Sierra Day and Deonte Lewis, Aniya will forever be just 4 years old. Before I end this video, I want to take a moment to send my sincerest condolences to any loved ones of Aniya Garrett, especially to her father Michael Garrett, who I know tried and is still trying so hard to get justice for his baby girl. If you have made it to this part of the video, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to Aniya's entire case. I know this was a very long video and a very rough case to listen to, and I appreciate all of you being here. As always, please comment your opinion on this video. I absolutely love hearing from all of you. I genuinely cannot express enough how much I appreciate all of you for checking in, watching my videos, and just interacting with me in general. But that's all I have for you today. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.